Okay, hello ARC family, and welcome to the ARC journey. I want to introduce to you probably a face that you are all really familiar with, Dr. Rob Guy Jr. He's the president of the Grove Manor board, and I want to apologize to you and to the board and to all of our employees at Grove Manor Homes for not giving a chance to share the stories. There's so many exciting things happening, and I didn't want to miss the opportunity to share with our churches what is happening, what's going on, the exciting things, our shared story. So without further ado, can you share some of the things that have been happening? For instance, the revisioning. I know that we had invited in Dr. Larry Crabb and his group to help do strategic planning. How is that revisioning going? How is that speaking to the ethos and the future of ministry in our homes?
Yeah, we were kind of at a crossroads with Grove Manor. We had employed a management company for probably about 25 years. And to characterize that, it was basically we had hired a for-profit healthcare company to manage what we do from top to bottom. And it wasn't, it had many upsides, but it also had many downsides. So as we began to realize how many things are changing and how many desires Grove Manor had to see realized, there was an increasing tension with our management company. So after probably a year or two, we realized it was time to kind of part ways. And so we last October said goodbye to our management company. What that means then is that the weight that they used to carry, we get back and have to carry it ourselves. So there was a long process that went into what it would be like to be independent and to kind of stretch our wings and move into a new future. So we had to do a lot of homework, a lot of preparation, find the right people. And then once that took place last October, I think we took almost a whole year to get ready. But then there was the whole process that we had to go through to re-examine, what does it mean to be us? What does it mean to be Grove Manor? What do we believe in? What are our core convictions? So, of course, the strategic planning process that we're now over a full year into, I think it's a year and 3 months now, re-examining those questions, reconfirming those convictions, and then rolling them out so that it's not just a few people who know those things, but everybody. So the stated goals, it's a 5-year plan, and the intent is for every employee in our entire organization to know what our core convictions are, to be able to state them on demand, and be able to connect them in practical ways with what we do every day. So it's been a fruitful process. There's been a little bit of pushback. It's been painful in some ways, but it's been enlivening through our whole organization. And it's helped us to realize some ways that we're missing the mark, ways that we need to grow in different ways, but also what opportunities are out there that we don't want to miss.
Yeah, wow. So can you talk a little bit, there's all this, there's some news, some people know about development, expansion, consolidation. What's happening? What's happening as a result of this strategic plan and visioning?
Yeah, so Grove Manor has changed quite a bit over the years. We're celebrating our 50th year as Grove Manor this year. Not much of a big celebration at the start because everybody.
Not yet. Yeah.
And we're figuring out, okay, how do we do this? But we did have a year plan, and we're just getting that underway here. So stuff will happen in the fall, and then next spring will be our big celebration. But it started, of course, in this neck of the woods in what is the Northern District. Um, just a side note, Grove Manor would have been built in Barkeyville had the original visionaries not died before it got launched. But by the time those conversations took place, the powers that be were already happening in Grove City. So it got moved into Grove City. But then we purchased the place in Franklin and made the Caring Place. And then for the longest time, tried to get something started in the southern part of Pennsylvania. And it was just maybe 10 years ago, we acquired Woodcrest. And since then, there's been complete refurbishing of each of these facilities. Woodcrest has seen several expansions. The latest was just completed last year. And so there's been a lot of activity. And then just this year, we purchased some property in Barkeyville. And the line of reasoning there is Grove City and Franklin campuses are landlocked. There's no room for expansion there, and there's no way to fill in the gaps that we have, like independent living. So we purchased property on our heritage grounds to fill in those gaps in a place that can feed both of those campuses.
Yeah.
And so right now I'm meeting in Grove Manor's new corporate headquarters. We've called it the Huntsberger House. Abraham Huntsberger was Henry Barkey's partner and son-in-law. And all that happened in Barkeyville as part of our heritage, he was a part of, and his daughters were a part of. And so this house really was involved in the Church of God. Foreign missions was involved in our education through the Barkeyville Academy. A lot of those folks migrated to Findlay, and it feels good to have another kind of homey place of our rootedness coming to life in fresh ways. Many of you know that I'm a big history guy, and most people kind of associate history with the past. And I think that's kind of an unfair way to view it, because in my sense, you never outgrow your roots. Your roots are always part of who you are. Your roots are always feeding the main part of who you are and all of the new branches and the new life. And I think that's a truer way to look back where we've come from, because the way the Lord works, it's always only about trajectory. He started our story way back when, but he also knows where he is taking us. And there's a seamless connection between where we've come from and where we're going.
So you are in the Huntsberger house right now.
Yeah, you can see the fireplace.
It looks absolutely gorgeous. I would love to see the entire facility. What's going to be happening there? How is this going to be used?
So it's a small house, so we can't do big things, but it is going to be kind of our iconic headquarters. And I think the vision is we'll not only have meetings here, there will be an archive, and some of our important things will be housed here, but we're also going to have receptions here. And my vision is whenever we do training, whether we're training new nurses' aides or we're new employees, the other things that we're going to be doing with Grove Manor, everybody gets exposed to our story and our ethos in the place where it happened, and with it depicted all around them.
Yeah. And so I'm noticing on the placard right behind you to my left, your right, as part of the mission, I mean, it's amazing, I think. that we honor the Lord in all we do. As that's part
Yep.
of the ethos that we're trying to build. That's part of the very DNA of all of our employees and the work that's happening here. And yeah.
Yes, and one of the beautiful things about recovering the rootedness of Grove Manor is Grove Manor's roots are in the Allegheny region, and there's nothing that we're revisiting at Grove Manor that isn't part of the entire region.
Yeah, and we appreciate that. That's amazing. Because it's not hard for an organization that has got so many different groups to answer to lose sight of that heritage and that foundation.
Yeah, that's one of the things that's broken my heart over the years, is to see organizations that had a very uh, a very noble vision and pursued it with sincerity and had big dreams, and somewhere along the way just kind of forgot who they are and lost sight of what made them who they are, and they became something else.
Yeah,
And what could have been and what ought to have been didn't happen. And it's very sad when that's the case. Of course, it's always recoverable, but as C.S. Lewis has so famously said, you do have to retrace your steps and go back to where you left the path and pick it up from there. And some organizations just aren't interested in doing that, but I don't think you can find your way without retracing those steps again.
yeah, it's the whole idea of the roots, the coming back to what's our, and allowing that to feed us. So I don't think that a lot of our churches know about one of the exciting new developments with the Grove Manor Foundation. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yes, we had part of the strategic planning process helped us to realize a lot of things are changing. And like churches can become ingrown, I think Grove Manor was kind of ingrown. And, we focused on our 3 campuses, and we woke up one day and realized that healthcare itself is changing. And, the aging
Sure.
population is swelling, but like most people, you put off going into a facility until that time comes, and people are aging in place. And, our seniors have needs where they are. And that whole industry is changing, and we've got to change as well. So just from a strictly healthcare perspective, we picked up on that. But then we also realized, well, if the seniors are staying at home and our focal point is to minister to seniors, well, maybe we ought to think about how do we get to where they are. And I remember sitting with Lester Thornton, and he was always reflecting and musing.
Mm-hmm.
And he just said, people are coming to us sicker and sicker. And the conversations that we used to have and the connection that we used to be able to establish isn't happening anymore. And he's like, all those people are still at home. And light bulbs started going on in my mind. It's like, yeah, that's where they are. And that's where we need to be, to begin to make connections with them. So all of that to kind of shift our outward to an outward focus. We talked with Michelle Snyder, went through different parts of a strategic planning process, and realized that we just need another arm. Grove Manor does one thing, but for us to be doing this outward focused thing requires something else. So we set up the Grove Manor Foundation as a way of, as an arm for being able to create new initiatives that we could work in different arenas. And that foundation, it's a 501c3. It launched officially last November. We had one meeting this winter in February, and then the COVID thing kind of put everybody home again. And so it's very fresh. but it's very exciting. One of the things I've been doing while we can't be out amongst everybody trying to muster up interest, just to keep the initiatives moving forward. We have three branches, and the way I'm picturing it, just to use the tree analogy still, it's anchored in these same roots, and all of Grove Manor has a common trunk, and I see the Allegheny region all part of the same trunk, but then it goes off into different branches. And the foundation itself right now has three different branches. The one branch is entitled the Ethos Institute. And that came about, that name just kind of come out of my head and it stuck, and there it is. But it's anchored in recovering our ethos and then realizing that our ethos really is a Christian ethos. And so what does a Christian ethos look like? And by ethos, it's not just convictions and principles and creedal statements, but a way of life and the way that these things are lived out. And so in the Ethos Institute, our vision is to create some conversations that penetrate into the broader society, to engage in distinctly Christian conversations as they touch healthcare, as they touch senior ministries, as they touch education. We're so siloed in America, and conversations tend to just be categorized. And
For sure.
what I would love to see is this integration take place, and crossing disciplines, and the academy talking with the church, and the practitioners talking with the theorizers, and really a whole conversation arising that's kind of cross-pollinating in a way that's more fruitful for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where going to be figuring out ways that technology can help. We'll be interviewing people from around the world. We'll be curating things that have already been written. We'll be writing new things. And so audio, video, publications, all of these different things that hopefully we will, one way or another, be able to engage with a number of different folks. So that's one branch.
Yeah, what's the other two branches?
The second branch is it's called the Bridges to Seniors Project, and it's our first attempt to engage with communities right here where we are in Western Pennsylvania. You hear a lot of folks say, well, yeah, I believe in missions, but we have stuff that we need here. And so again, it's part of the pivot from within our facilities to now the communities surrounding our facilities and the communities next to them. And the Bridges to Seniors Project is our intent is to begin to envision a way of not only ministering to people over 65, but realizing that that's the largest growing population in our society. And a lot of folks still have a lot to give. And so how do we enlist those folks in ministry, not just see them as somebody that's a recipient of our ministry? And how do we create connections between like-minded folks? How do we create connections between generations, connecting these seniors who have a lot of love to give with kids who need a lot of love? And it goes in so many different directions. I have a hard time just to characterize it in a small way. But our intent is to begin to create circles of ministry centers across the tri-state area. We're going to begin small with a cohort that is aimed at creating a few circles strategically placed in the Northern District, Central District, and Southern District, which is West Virginia, maybe even crossing into the Ohio line there.
Mm-hmm.
But realizing that you start with a small group and then you bring more people into the mix and you keep bringing them into the mix. The truth is there's hundreds and hundreds of small communities between New York and West Virginia, Ohio and Western Pennsylvania. And so many of these communities really don't have a vibrant senior ministry going on. They wouldn't know where to begin. But that's something we do well. We've done senior ministry for a lot of years. We know rural areas and small churches well. So starting these conversations in a small way, in a way with an eye to expansion.
Sure.
And then seeing where it goes. We're going to start with a conference in 2021. We're bringing in some exciting people, not quite ready to let the cat out of the bag yet, but those details are already being worked on, and it'll be exciting to see this thing take off. Absolutely. And then the third branch is we revisited our roots in the Allegheny region. We realized that the Barkeyville Academy was central to the emergence of foreign missions. It was John Latshaw that was the key personality there. He started the academy here, but then was soon in Findlay. But the academy had the students and the dynamic, and Charles Manchester got pulled into it. The missionary signal started in Barkeyville, and some of the first missionaries were sent. Viola Hershey was a student at the academy and then Findlay College, and then A.C. Bowers was the Barkeyville pastor, and he and his wife were sent in 1902, and they got the ministry that's now Bangladesh started. And that ministry has been going all these years, and we kind of lost sight of that. And the more we got to looking at the connections, this is how we got Mary Thornton. And these were Mary Thornton's children for decades before we even met her. But when she married Lester Thornton and got involved with Grove Manor, everybody knew about Bangladesh because Mary Thornton talked about it. And she talked about the kids there and the health care that goes on there and the schools connecting with those kids there. And it just became very clear that we have a lot of overlap. Even though half a world apart, we do a lot of the same things, and how meaningful it would be to reconnect with that vibrant ministry over there and begin to partner together. And so we sent a team of folks to test the waters. And again, it's another thing that's kind of on hold somewhat through this whole COVID shutdown. But things are working behind the scenes, and it'll be exciting to see where that partnership ends up as well. So as you can see, the foundation is embarking in some new and exciting endeavors. And they're very young and very fresh, but also very, very exciting.
So what does this partnership look like? I mean, you launched into my next question, and that is, what does that partnership look like? Who did you send? What's the hope for this? So you've involved yourself, the Grove Manor board or the Grove Manor Foundation, through the foundation, is connecting our homes with Bangladesh. And I think not a lot of our churches know that, or know something like that is happening. What does that even mean?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. What does that mean? And as I again, if the Grove Manor Foundation is an outreach arm, not just of Grove Manor, but in conjunction with the Allegheny region, I think it can mean an awful lot. And I think we're not even sure what the possibilities could be. We sent we sent a small group of folks to basically reconnect and find out what the right questions are. All of this is coordinated through Travis Helm and Ben Tobias and the folks in Findlay. So the global reach, that's who our partnership is actually through. But I think because it's denominationally connected, the possibilities are far reaching. What would it look like for the Allegheny region and its churches and its mission-minded folks to have a new reason to get excited about the connection of what's happening in
Absolutely.
India and Bangladesh? Our initial takeaway in Bangladesh and India was, first of all, because Grove Manor is a medical
Right.
organization, and one of the big things they do, it makes a natural partnership for us to partner with their medical pieces. But if you've ever heard Dr. John talk, he paints kind of a three-legged stool that, and because it's a Muslim country, it's important how we kind of approach this.
Correct.
But
or even talk about it publicly.
Yes, exactly. So, but because it's we have 120-year heritage, we're welcome to do what we do there, and it provides us with a wide open opportunity as long as we do it respectfully and rightly. But as Dr. John says, and he does his surgeries and he goes out into villages, it provides a very practical way for us to demonstrate we really do care, because we care about your health and your well-being. And when we lead with that medical outreach, it gives some credibility to some of the other things that we do. And then when you throw in the schools and the education and the training up of children, and then you bring in the churches and the community development aspect of that, it really does show a holistic, well-rounded, we care about you kind of a thing. And honestly, that's exactly how Henry Barkey approached the building of his village in the first place. And it was only natural that they took care of their old people and that they trained up their young people in the Barkeyville Academy, and they sent them out as ministers and teachers and missionaries. And at Grove Manor, we do the same thing. Our mission states that we care for people holistically, because we recognize that a person is more than a body. They have a mind, they have a heart, they have a spirit, and it's only together, integrated, that these things flower as a living person.
That's awesome. So I'm thinking, so the opportunity to be able to do this interview and talk so informally, it seems like we probably shared more here in this time than we would have through a conference session if you had gotten up and were said you got 4 minutes or 5 minutes to share a report. So I really appreciate that. But I think as a local pastor or local congregation, I would be asking the question, how do I partner? How do I become a support to this ministry? How can we come alongside you? How can we join in this story of what God's doing? So do you have any thoughts to that? Any suggestions?
Yeah, this is, we're looking forward. So there's nothing, I can't pull a packet out of my pocket here and pass it along right yet. We're working on that stuff. we're still discerning what the Global Reach Partnership is going to look like. The Bridges to Seniors will launch next year. The Ethos Institute materials we hope to begin airing this fall. We hope to have our first website up within the month. So it's all coming. So tune in, and maybe as these things emerge, we'll make sure that that folks know about them, and as they tune into the to your vlog and the Compass, they'll become apparent. And as exciting things develop, we're going to want to talk about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I want to thank you for taking the time. I know that you're busy. Gosh, we're all busy right now. But I want to thank you. You're probably working on a message you got to get going. So thank you for sharing this time with us and sharing the exciting story of what God's doing. There are exciting things happening at Grove Manor, and I am so proud to be a part of it. And thank you for telling us the story. I want to pray with you before we go. And so, Heavenly Father, God, we just lift up to you all of our Grove Manor employees, Lord, their passion for honoring you in all that they do, Lord, for touching a forgotten, most times, a forgotten population, our seniors, reaching out to them in love and compassion, Lord, to show them your grace and mercy, Lord, to walk with them through this stage of life, to let them know that you care, that we care, that we're all in this together. God, I just ask that you would empower our employees to carry your love in all that they do. Lord, that they might be a shining example of your presence with them. Lord, that they might know and understand the impact that all of those employees are having on the lives of not just of those who are put in their care, those residents, but in the families and in the community impression of God's power in their community, in their presence. So God, today we ask that you would continue to bless the Grove Manor Board more than they could ever hope or imagine as they seek to follow you into this wild new future. Thank you, God, as we explore this new territory together. May you allow Grove Manor Board to fearlessly step into that future. In your name we pray. Amen. Thank you, Rob.
Thank you, Phil.
We'll see you. Keep on shining.
Yep. Take care.
All right.